This Shabbat, we're going to be reading the two parashiot of Vayakhel and Pekudei and coming to the end of Sefer Shemot. And Sefer Shemot is a particularly interesting book in Tanakh because at first glance, when we look at the first five Sidrot in the Sefer, we have a sense that this must be the most dramatic and the most exciting, certainly of all the books in the Torah, and possibly of all the books in the Tanakh. Think about Parshat Shemot. It's got the story of the birth of Moshe Rabbeinu and his encounter with HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the sneh. Think about Parshat Va'era, the first 7 of the plagues. Parshat Bo, the last 3 plagues, Yetziat Mitzrayim. Parshat Beshalach, Kriyat Yamsuf. And then perhaps reaching a climax in Parshat Yitro, with Ma'amad Har Sinai and the encounter between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the whole of Am Yisrael. But then everything seems to change, because if we look at the last Sidrot in Sefer Shemot, Teruma, Tetzaveh, Vayakhel-Pekudei, they're almost boring and monotonous. They're certainly repetitive. All we've got is lists and lists of details and measurements and materials. It reads something like a DIY manual of how to construct something, how to build something. How is it that a Sefer in the Torah, which starts with such excitement and such drama, ends with such monotony? So I think we have to look carefully and see what comes after the first 5 Sidrot and what comes after the final 4 Sidrot. What's the culmination of the first 5 Sidrot? What comes after Shemot Va'era Bo B'Shalach Yitro? We have the Chet HaEgel. The people had lived a life full of excitement, full of drama, full of activity, full of hieroglyphics and all sorts of wonderful things happening at Har Sinai. They had a sense that everything has to be all singing and dancing. What happened as a result? It led them towards Avodah Zarah. That's what happened as a result. But now, look at the last 4 parshiot. Teruma, Tetzaveh, Vayakhel-Pekudei. Yes, it's true that they seem to be a little bit monotonous. They seem to be a little bit boring. But what's the conclusion to these parshiot? The conclusion to these parshiot comes just a couple of psukim before the end of Parshat Pekudei, where the pasuk says, "Vayichas ha'anan et ohel moed, uchvod Adonai maleh et hamishkan." What was the conclusion to the boring, monotony, repetitiveness of these Sidrot? The fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and filled the Mishkan and dwelt amongst the people. And this, I think, has an immensely important lesson for us. The immensely important lesson being that sometimes when we're too fixated and too focused on all the drama, all the singing and dancing, all the activity, all the excitement, it can lead us towards Avodah Zarah. But when we focus and engage properly with what one cautiously might call the monotony of Jewish life, the ins and outs, the Tamidin Kesidran, the things which are repeated, the things which have to be done with attention to detail, then what do they lead us to? They can lead us to Vayichas ha'anan et ohel moed, uchvod Adonai maleh et hamishkan. They can lead us to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's presence being amongst us.